Islamic hazoor.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
I'd like to ask you a question, stemming from the previous one on borrowing and mortgage rates, and it is the following. What would be the Islamic way of running an economy with the absence of interest rates, especially since a lot of investment is dependent upon high rates of return on money, and that trade is dependent upon the exchange rate, which is greatly influenced by an economy's interest rates?
On this issue already I have spoken among other, during my question and answer sections in various places, particularly here in Geneva as well, I took it up. And although this answer requires a longish treatment, it's a very involved question. It has to be explained fully from all angles, discussing the philosophy of Islamic system of economy, how it applies, how such a system can run in an overall system of the world which is un-Islamic financially, and so on and so forth. All these questions have to be answered in detail, which I have been able to answer partially during various addresses and question answer sessions. So I think we don't have time at present to deal with this question. You better have access to this Geneva cassette, which is available. And why I speak of it, because it's fresh in my mind. I know this question has been discussed. So in short, I can tell you only this, that Islamic system of economy does not run on the accepted principle that the money must grow. According to Islam, money in itself is just a means of, and unless money is wedded to human values, we cannot find out whether it is going to grow or decrease. So it has both sides open. It can grow as well as decrease. So because usury system only speaks of one-sidedness of money. It must grow, so you must pay for what money you borrow. So this is a top heavy system which is not equitable to society as a whole. This question has been discussed by me in detail, and this I learned from a short tradition of Ahmad, which is so simple but is so potent with deep wisdom. Once in answer to a question he said, does your money bear children? Is it productive in itself? You put money somewhere in a locket, in a casket, and when you reach it later on, would you find it having grown, having multiplied? The answer was no. So he said, just money itself doesn't mean anything. When it is wedded to human values, then it can either grow or decrease. So trade is valid, and all such partnerships where both possibilities are left open of sharing of loss, of profit as well as loss, that is Islamic. And that in itself is enough motive force to run the wheel of economy. Partnerships and shares with full responsibility, that if somebody makes profit out of the money he borrows, then you share the profit even beyond the so-called interest rates. And if he suffers a loss, then you should also suffer a loss along with such a person. So the guarantees would only be regarding the integrity and honesty of such people or firms. So Islam promotes those values in its system automatically. People would go only to such houses and such companies who have high reputation in integrity, because then they would know that whatever they earn, they would share their profits, etc. Otherwise, they will not go to them. Also, their cleverness, their experience, their qualities of handling trade and industry, etc., would also earn them a fame whereby they would become magnates. attracting money from others. So that is exactly what happened in the early Islamic system. A strange thing happened which you will not find today in the world. Today, you do not deposit your money with mullahs, with the Muslim scholars. You never trust them. But in older days, they became the wealthiest people in the society, because they were not just scholarly people, but they were also honest people. And also, they did not live on the alms of others. They were regular members of the society and the economy, and they shifted for themselves. So these two qualities made people to run to them and deposit their monies and to beg them to make them their partners, sleeping partners, of course. So Hazrat Imam Abu Hanifa, one of the greatest jurists in the world of Islam, with the largest following in the world of Islam, became multi-millionaire because of his capability as a good trader, and also because of his integrity. People sometimes used to leave heaps of money with him despite his protest, I don't have any employment for it. But he said, all right, if you ever have an employment, we would come and find out. So that was happening. The values were enhanced and values were brought to a sharp focus. So the financial system also promoted human values of integrity, etc. The present system works the other way around. Here, for a successful trade and for successful industry, you have to be a good cheat as well. And, a sharpshooter sort of thing. Otherwise, you can't stay above the surface. So the whole system is completely different. The atmosphere is different. And again, the system works on a negative approach, not on a positive approach in a way. By negative approach, I mean, according to Islam, the money must always remain in rotation. No man has right to sit on money. And if he has amassed treasures of money, then he must pay fine instead of his earning interest. He must pay fine. This is the cap. So the compulsion there must be for running the wheel. In Islam, such a person is charged for holding money, not paid for holding money. So it is exactly the opposite of capitalist system. In capitalist system, the money becomes to mount upon money and so on. Minarets are created where ultimately they lose balance and then they topple down. And the whole financial system topple down. This is what we have witnessed repeatedly during the past century or so. So in Islam, no such thing happens, because the money by itself does not attract money. There are other values which have to be coupled with it. So that's just a short illustration of how this question has to be tackled. But this requires a much longish answer, in fact, and much larger comparisons. If I'm given time, I'm thinking of speaking on this subject during some of my speeches during annual conference. But the problem is that such subjects have to be prepared. You have to have a lot of data and comparative data, particularly, to compare the financial system of capitalism on the one side and financial system of communist world on the other, and the philosophies. So it is a subject which requires a lot of attention and spare time, which unfortunately at the moment I can't have, but I have in my background. Generally speaking, I have the blueprint of such an address.